Hey everyone, welcome back to Unofficially Opinionated. This is what we're calling the unofficial news rundown for tech this week. I'm Christian, got Nate and Tim here. What's up, guys?
Yo, what's up?
Hey,
Hey, so what we got here about 5 articles from the past week or so. We're going to run through them. We'll kind of read what's going on and give some thoughts on our unofficial opinions. So let's get into it. First up this week, we had an article about Biden blocking certain investments in China.
Certain
So this is a
investments.
Reuters article here. It mentions that President Joe Biden on Wednesday signed an executive order that will prohibit some new U.S. investment in China in sensitive technologies like computer chips and require government notification in other tech sectors. I think we kind of saw this coming for a while now, just as far as kind of I wouldn't say Cold War between the U.S. and China, but it is somewhat resembling a Cold War. And so as we get other technologies, this specifically covers semiconductors, microelectronics, quantum technology, and artificial intelligence. So these kind of three kind of core technologies that we know kind of drive or will be
Or
driving
will be driving, yeah.
technology and
hmm
also military applications are going to be very important. So again, it applies to narrow subsets, but there's a proposal now out for public input. Um, this is aimed at preventing American capital and expertise from helping China develop technologies that could support its military and undermine U.S. national security. The measure targets private equity, venture capital, joint ventures, and greenfield investments. So, guys, as you were kind of seeing this come up, any thoughts here?
I mean, I read the article, but um, I wasn't aware that this was. I'm not in America, so I'm not up to breast with, you know, up to breast, abreast.
why does that take you back?
Like
I
he's trying
am
to
not.
translate French and English in his mind. Give him a break.
I am not up to date. I am not abreast of all of the
Uh,
of all of the going ons in America. So, I mean, that does sound like paranoia, but also like the world is crazy, and so I mean, I don't, I guess, blame Biden, but I guess I just didn't see it coming. But again, I wasn't paying attention to anything
I saw it
considering
coming
that. So,
from a mile away. Ever since this whole stuff going on with Taiwan, they're building this chip manufacturing plant over in the U.S. right now. Um, China's trying to, if China claims Taiwan, then they have the only chip manufacturing company that everybody goes to. It's in Taiwan. That's why they're trying to build one here in America. Yeah, this goes on. This goes on to that whole thing. I saw this happening. I've been wondering when this was going to happen for a while now.
well, it's happened.
yeah, and again, this isn't so much about us purchasing from them. It's more about us investing
Right, giving
and
them
and
Yeah,
kind of trying to prevent us from helping them build their technology up,
right.
right? Which
yes,
is difficult to do. I was listening to another podcast, and they were just talking about part of this is also is difficult as you're doing research to have your research,
stolen.
well, have research that you're doing, but do it in a way that does not allow someone in China or some other place to also be aware of it, right? Because as you're researching, as far as like academic institutions, like it's public, like you're researching and you're sharing information, and so if you stop sharing, to a point you start hindering yourself a little bit because you're only kind of now in your own little bubble researching versus everyone working together to try to
But
build it
is
up.
this
So
like in-house research and development, or is this because yeah, I didn't follow this at all. I didn't know. I don't know how he is or how the I guess the administration is trying to prevent. I mean, I read what they're doing to prevent it, but yeah, if the information is kind of like global information and companies are just taking it and kind of doing what they will with it, then it's really kind of ineffective, you know? So unless he's doing like, unless he's talking to, the issue is really in-house research and development, which you can kind of prohibit. I mean, you can put a restriction on.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think overall, just globally, there's the two warring needs, right? There's a need for us to try to maintain our strategic edge,
Right.
right, as a nation, but
Right.
also part of science is sharing information.
Right.
Right. But I'm saying, like, okay, I don't know. I just don't understand the whole. I think I lack a little bit more information in order to make an intelligent comment there.
Hey, look, that's why we have unofficial opinions.
Yeah. But I'd still like my comment to be, my opinion to be a little bit more, educated. And this one I
Hey,
don't know
look,
much
I'm
about.
sure this is not going away as a topic, so
No, it's
Probably,
it
not.
yeah.
will definitely be
As
revisited later, I'm sure.
as
So,
Right.
long as the Taiwan Straits exist, uh, people will be talking about this because I mean you got to keep that in mind that too. Like right now we're in this. I wouldn't say Cold War, but it's getting chilly between us and China right now, and moves like this makes it even colder because we're just separating us from them more and more. Because of Taiwan.
Right.
And I mean, it's not just because of Taiwan. Like if you look at some of the like Chinese military, I've heard people. I wouldn't say this myself, but I've heard people say, like a lot of their equipment looks like ours. You know, like their ships look very similar to our ships. Their jets look very similar to ours. You
I
know.
think it's fascinating. I mean, this is on the same subject, but just
Mm-hmm.
maybe a little deviating. I think it's fascinating that this is still, after all of these years and all of these wars and all of this bloodshed, that this is still on these people's mind. Trying to, because these articles are saying to prevent them from enhancing, I suppose, their army and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, granted, I guess every country has to have an army, but, like, are we still in the times of, we're really worried about one country attacking another and stuff like that? I feel like it's kind of, I feel like
yeah.
we haven't learned our lesson if we're still fighting this battle.
Yeah, unfortunately, I
Right.
think war is going to be around
Yep.
Oh, well, as
until there's
long
no
as
more
humans
humans.
are, yes.
Yeah,
But I
so
mean, like,
I don't,
also,
it's like I wish we didn't have war, but it's going to exist, so we can't put our heads in the sand and be like, well, we're just not going to build our military because we think war is bad.
well,
Because,
not.
because
Well,
then,
what I'm saying is, I'm not saying not build the military. So I was like, yeah, but the thing is that we still got to be very paranoid about the information that's getting out, and that's harder to do with the internet and just the way
oh
things
yeah,
work nowadays. It's just, that's why I'm saying it's just, it seems kind of backwards. It seems like we're kind of going backwards. So anyways, this reading this article reminded me of, what did they call that, something rush or race or something like that. Was it not the space race, but it was like the nuclear arms race or something like that? Was that what it's called? Or there was some term behind it or whatever.
hmm,
This is kind of what that reminds me of. uh but now it's just technology, like, whatever.
yeah,
Anyways,
for sure.
so
All right, well, on to the next. All right. So this article is about Apple. So we know that Apple has been in court for a while. Epic Games brought a suit against them for kind of anti-competitive behavior related to the way Apple runs their kind of app store and how they restrict apps. So for those that don't know, one, I think Apple takes around 30% of
30.
subscriptions and in-app purchases. Also, they restrict you from within your app directing someone to an outside payment method. So an example would be something like, I'm not sure if Spotify does this. I know others do, but a lot of apps don't allow you to subscribe to their service within the app, and they also aren't even allowed to link you to a way. So, for example, like I think Audible is one that does it, where if you want to buy a new Audible book, you have to leave the app, go to Amazon, and buy the book. You can't buy it through the app. Now they probably could do that, but to do that, they have to essentially raise the price by 30% to accommodate Apple's cut, and they don't want to do that. But I know like some subscriptions that I've seen to like Hulu and other things. If you subscribe within like an app on Apple, then these companies just tack on 30%. They're like, if you're gonna subscribe through the Apple app that we have, then it's gonna
Right.
cost you more than if you went to our website and did it manually, just because we're trying to cover that. So that's kind of where this started as far as the Epic kind of battle with Apple. And so for now, the Supreme Court has said that Apple can keep its payment rules for now. So what had happened was, again, they were in a legal battle. Epic was asking that while they were still kind of continuing the legal battle, that Apple be halted from using this practice until it's all worked out. So essentially, and always to Supreme Court. Supreme Court basically said, no, we're not going to stop Apple from doing this while we're still figuring out if they should do it or not. So essentially, they can do what they're doing for now. Once the court ultimately decides what it's going to be, then we'll kind of enact the actual result. So
And
it
what
was
do
interesting. I know a lot of times I know, for example, with recently with Microsoft trying to acquire Blizzard, right? I know the FTC was kind of suing to try to do the same thing. Well, look, can you just stop the merger while we wait to have our hearing in late fall? And the courts were like, no, right? We're not going to intervene and like pre-stop it. We don't have enough evidence for that. So they can go ahead and do it. And then once you have the the hearing later, then we can kind of do that there. So I guess any thoughts around just a little bit around, I guess, how Apple operates in this space and seeing, do you think Epic is going to be ultimately the victor in this suit?
Well, I think I have a counter question.
Mhm.
Like, what do you all think about? I mean, because so this article is about Epic trying to get the Supreme Court to
Put
basically
a
do a
chain
cease and
around the
desist
beast.
until they actually until a decision is kind of made. What do you think about the the fact that the Supreme Court said no to that request?
To me, I don't think it doesn't mean a whole lot to me.
Hmm.
To me, it just says that there's not enough evidence from them to make this move before they actually adjudicate the issue, right? And so
Right.
it generally has to be something that's pretty blatant, right? For them to kind of pre-restrict something before, and also that they got to have proof. They have to have better proof of harm that's actively happening, which I think is
I don't
part of
know
the
if that.
difficulty of the case. But we'll see.
Because what the one of the issues in allowing them to continue doing that is that afterwards then they have to kind of retroactively sue Apple if it's found excuse me, that it's unconstitutional basically. Then they have to retroactively sue Apple for doing that, which is going to cost more money, right? So yes, they might not have they might say that they don't have enough information on to be able to say, okay, Apple, stop while we review this. But I think at the same time it puts the third party um, creators in sort of a bad situation where then now they have to spend more money trying to get um, their justice for the stuff that had been happening before,
Yeah,
and then and additionally they could also attempt to sue the Supreme Court. So like
yeah.
that's
So,
hmm,
so I got a question. So when you are saying that that there needs to be more proof, you mean like just proof that this is causing harm to those third party companies, right? Because the
yeah.
proof that the action is happening, it's in the rules. So there's proof that it's happening, but what they're looking for is the proof that it's actually causing harm to those third party that are signed in. There there's what's the word for it?
Yeah.
Stunting their
Yeah,
growth
I mean,
in
I'm not a
in that
lawyer,
sector.
certainly not, but and I'm not versed in like this law, but the way I've seen many of these cases go is that generally, in order for them to have some kind of like restraint or stay of something beforehand, right? There's usually more of a burden than
Mhm.
normal in order to do something before you get the actual judgment of the case, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So that's really what I meant. I mean, the details, I'm not sure exactly what would have helped them to accept this, right? But to me, it just seems like, okay, that they didn't means that it didn't meet the threshold for taking that specific action beforehand, because it's not an automatic thing, right? Like I sue you doesn't mean automatically you stop business until we figure out whether you should be doing business or not, right? There's generally not a stoppage just because you're being sued for something.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I hear you.
Right.
You know.
Unless, yeah, unless the issue is, a high enough threat.
right.
Right.
But the, excuse me. I mean, granted, this is not like threatening anybody's like livelihood or something, anything like that. I mean, it is Epic's, but they're big companies, right? So they're making money anyways. But then, like I said, one of the issues that would you would come up against is that you would just have to re like then you would have to sue Apple again for this, like I said, retroactively, be like this can, which is a problem because I'm not sure because I didn't study American law, but I don't think that you can. I think it's harder to sue somebody. One of our listeners can tell us, but I think it's harder to sue people retroactively after a law has been passed or after a ruling has been made to then sue them because
I think you just take it to the higher court.
yeah,
Well,
but
right, but
I
yeah, but
think
if if
the
if if they make a law after the fact, right,
right,
you can't really
Mm.
go backwards. But I guess what I'm
it's
curious
harder to
about
go
is,
backwards. Yeah.
yeah, is what will be the ultimate resolution of this. So if they find out, hey, look, this is anti-competitive, will they force Apple to pay X number of dollars back, in addition to changing the rule? Like, that could be, in which case it doesn't
They
necessarily matter
should.
when. They just calculate from now backwards, right? And say, hey, look, you owe
That's true,
$5
but
billion dollars to
Yeah.
these creators, because
if
of
I'm not
this
mistaken,
behavior.
I think what happens is, oh, I could be wrong, yeah, because I didn't study American law, so I'm not really sure how it would work. Because for example, in Europe, it would just basically just, or in France at least, it would just be a cease and desist. So basically, just be like, stop, you can't do this anymore, and then they would stop. But the company would not necessarily be required to pay out for the harm that they had done. I know in America you can do that, but usually, um, I think it has to have been brought up in the suit, the lawsuit. So yeah, it would be
Oh,
interesting. It's going to be
Yeah.
interesting to find out.
yeah.
So
Because I would, man. I'd be like, look, your guys' link is on my website, so that people can go to your website to download it, so they can have access to my stuff. Kind of. Well, how
no,
does
I
that make sense?
well, there's two ways to look at the whole issue with Apple. Like Apple might could be considered like protecting its
That was my other thought.
users, be like, so we don't allow external links, from our application. But it
And they
also
should
could
stop
be
being
looked at
lazy.
as being greedy,
Mm-hmm.
by saying everything that your clients purchase has to be purchased to us, and then we're going to charge you 30%. So
Right.
it can be seen, both ways. And we all know that Apple, it just loves being
To eat.
proprietary. Like they love keeping things, keeping it tight, just kind of like Nintendo, keeping a really tight um, fist, I
Yeah,
suppose, around their products or
for
their
sure.
stuff.
It'd be curious to see kind of where this ultimately ends up with that 30%, because looking at the industry overall, different industries, that is a large chunk to pay
Yeah.
just
Yep.
to participate in that store, essentially,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
we'll see if they get to maintain that going forward. But I don't know. I mean, that's a huge chunk of their their revenue, so
And
I mean,
if they
they're
do
they
lose
don't
it,
want to
I
let it
bet
go.
you if they do lose it, it's just going to change form. They're going to be like, oh, okay, well, we can't do the 30%. Anytime people go to your website, well, then here's how we're going to change it up and make it up in another way. It's just going to change,
well, the law
change
would have to
forms.
prevent it from being anti what's the anti-competitive, like the law
Hmm.
would have to be written in the way that prevents them from using any form of anti-competition, um on their sites. But to be honest, like, who, I mean, stop playing games on Mac. I mean, Apple products.
Right.
Like, there's no need. Like, they're not powerful enough. I mean, they're very powerful, but like the video cards are not
Yeah. But this
the
is more about
graphics
the
card.
phones, right? It's really about the phones and the app
Yeah.
store there, and like how many people, how difficult it is for a company to really make money
Hmm.
when 30% is just coming off the top of
Yeah.
everything you do in that app store.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It kind of goes both ways, right? It's a huge store that you have access
Hmm.
Hmm.
to all these people, but also like it's a huge chunk that's taken out of your income just
Yeah. And I mean, that's just
just
that.
because.
Then you got taxes. So like,
Yep,
yeah,
exactly.
fun times.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right. Well, on to the next. This one is about our beloved. It says Twitter an article, but we all know it's now called X. This is a
X.
CNN article here. Um, so apparently, what happened was we know that the U.S. government has been investigating Donald Trump for multiple things, and apparently, um, they had asked Twitter to release some documentation, and Twitter did not. It said that the search was so secret that Twitter was initially barred from telling Trump the search warrant had been obtained for his account. Because again, they don't want him necessarily going in there and deleting stuff or being aware something's happening if they've not informed him yet. Um, so they were fined $350,000, which for X is really nothing.
Nothing.
But
Yeah.
because they delayed in producing the records sought under a search warrant. Um, So the search warrant special counsel Jack Smith obtained sought data records related to Trump's account, and ultimately the platform was allowed to share some information about the search warrant with the former president. So
I mean,
I
they got
guess,
what they wanted, right? In the
yeah,
end.
yeah. I mean, they delayed and then they paid the fine. I know a lot of people are like, yay for them for not just handing over the data. Which yes, but also there's a search warrant, right? So the way our country works is, yeah, no, we don't just voluntarily give the government whatever they ask us for, um,
Until there's a search
unless there's a
warrant.
search warrant, right? Like they come to your house, you be like, no, you can't come in here. They have a search warrant, they're allowed to come in.
Yes.
You can fight that if you want to,
But
but then
not
you're
by
out
locking the
now on
door.
the wrong side of the law. So
Yeah, I
that's how
mean,
I
you
view
can
it.
fight it, but I mean, the state claims eminent domain, right? So
Yeah,
if they provide a search warrant, you just let them have it. But then, yeah, you fight it afterwards
Hmm.
because you know that's the best recourse. Apparently, I'm not a lawyer,
exactly.
so go talk to your lawyer about
Yeah,
that. But yeah,
yeah. I
but
mean, do you all expect these companies to fight subpoenas and search warrants on our behalf when they're asked for things?
I
well,
mean,
this,
hey, look what
yeah.
Apple did when remember that whole thing where the government was trying to get a back door into their into the phones and stuff, and Apple's like, oh hey, uh, we made that a personal thing. We have no access to that now.
Yeah,
Well, they
but
actually didn't
right,
have
but
access
that's
to it.
how
Was the
encryption
thing?
works,
No, but
right?
I'm saying
Yes.
that's yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
So, but here in Twitter, or X, it was the same thing. It's not that they denied the request; they delayed it because they made a counter petition to tell Trump, according to the Constitution. Like
right.
they were like, constitutionally, we should be able to, constitutionally, and according to some act, I forgot what the name of the act was, that they should be able to let Trump know. So eventually, they did get the authorization to let Trump know about certain things, but the authorization came after the deadline right? So then they had to pay 350. But again, yeah, that's like chump change. They don't even pay their
They should.
employees, huh?
They
Like
should.
that.
You know,
Yeah,
they when I don't know if this is actually what happens, but like once you get one of those orders, right? What they should do is freeze that account, inform Trump, this is what's happening, yada yada yada. But the account's frozen. He can't do anything with it.
but the search warrant prohibited them from
Correct.
contacting Trump.
Yeah,
No,
because
no, I'm
again,
saying, but
they were worried that he would try to destroy evidence,
that's what
either
I'm
on
saying.
Twitter or
Freeze the
other
account.
evidence.
and
Oh,
also and
okay.
also change what did they say, change his change kind of like the way he was
Right, the way
acting.
he
I
was
forget what
behaving, right? And
yeah,
so, yeah, just because they're investigating you doesn't mean that they've told you already,
right, yeah,
right? Because
hmm,
sometimes they're just watching, right, and observing,
right,
and so it's their right to say, hey, look, we need, say they go to
Secret.
Walmart and say, hey, look, we need videotape from this day to this day when this person was here, and they're like, well, can I tell them first and then give it to you? Like, no,
right,
right?
yeah.
Like that's not what we're doing.
Right, exactly,
We're
yeah,
investigating. Don't tell them yet.
excuse
We're
me,
we're still watching them. So
yeah.
yeah, it's interesting. I'm curious, if this was a particular baby of Elon Musk in particular, because he tends to seemingly, at least online, lean right. And so it was this kind of his personal decision to slow roll this, or is this just kind of more of Twitter kind of ethos and policy around kind of free speech and letting things go? But
It might have been, but also it might have been an effort to protect themselves. So they paid out 350,000. Ooh, But what happened if Trump came for them under the same law?
Yeah.
Like what would have happened if Trump would have came, or his people
Or
would
if
have
he,
came
he
back at them and been like, yeah, but you all didn't respect this, whatever, I forgot what the act was, and blah blah blah. Then
yeah,
he could have done a suit
millions.
against Twitter or X, and then that would have
X.
been even worse. So it's better to get fined by the government, which has to fine a nominal fee, which that's what this sounds like, a nominal fee.
yeah,
but but yeah, it's better to get the penalty from the government than to have, because in America, like, it doesn't happen like that in France or in Switzerland or anything, or in Europe for the most part, I guess. But in America, man, you can just
It's about
accidentally
money.
do something and then you get sued for all your livelihood.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it was a smart move for X to do that. And obviously that was their legal department. Like they were researching that stuff so that they don't get caught in the crossfire.
yeah. Interesting times.
Yep.
Oh, X.
But I'm very
Uh,
curious to see what happens with this platform, to be
Yeah,
honest, because
yeah, I think it's gonna slowly cave, or it's like there's gonna be another platform that's gonna come up. It's gonna be like what Twitter was, and then X is gonna slowly cave.
it might. I mean, you listen. This has happened to almost all of the. We had MySpace. Apparently, we had like Vine. Is
Yep,
Vine still around? Anyways, we had MySpace, and then
fine.
we had there was Tumblr.
Mm-hmm.
Um, always all of these made like bad decisions.
Yep,
And they caved. It's
yep.
just kind of
yeah.
inevitable, right?
Sometimes people just move on. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, these
Yeah,
things. I mean, someone was talking about how before Google kind of exploded, how many
Search
search
engines. There
engines
others.
there
was.
were.
Yes, there
You
were
remember
a
Alta
Yeah,
Vista and
ton.
Excite and
Remember
Ask Jeeves and
Ask Jeeves?
yeah, there were
Yeah. Oh
yeah.
so
my
many, right?
goodness.
And like
Yeah.
it seemed like okay, we'll just have this many for a while, and then all of a sudden, like we didn't. Right?
Right.
All of a
Yeah.
Yeah.
sudden, Google
Yep.
came in and
They
just
make a bad decision and they just disappear to win.
Google was better, and people
Yeah.
just like moved over. Like it's the
Yeah.
same thing with like the Chrome browser, right? It was Internet
Yep.
Explorer and Netscape, and
Mm-hmm.
they were running, and then Google Chrome, and people are like, oh, Firefox, who? Like, because
Well,
Firefox was
Yeah,
coming up
Firefox.
pretty
Yeah, I was gonna
hard.
say
it
it's
was.
it's it's it was there, and then it kind of fell into the background, but now it's trying to come back.
Yeah,
So I
they're
mean,
trying,
It
but
is.
yeah, kind of like
good luck.
But
Nokia
there
trying.
was like what, a browser that actually works without viruses. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I have Firefox,
yeah.
just in case there's something that Chrome won't do, because Chrome, because it's so big, because Google is so big, they have a lot of restrictions that
Yeah,
Mozilla doesn't have an issue with,
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, more to come on that one. All right, guys, two more, three down, two more to go.
all
This
right.
one's interesting to me. This is about Amazon. So reportedly, Amazon is cutting most of its in-house clothing brands. This is an Engadget article here. Um, Now, it said decision comes ahead of a possible antitrust suit. So, as we know, what Amazon likes to do is, hey, I see these hand towels are selling really well
Hmm.
for $10 for like a pack. Let's go make some Amazon brand and sell them for 9
Yeah,
Yeah.
and run you out of business.
right.
And they're
We talked
being
about this on our last
investigated
on another
or will
podcast.
Didn't
be
this
pretty soon.
didn't it
Um,
start with a handbag or something like that?
yeah,
Wasn't
I'm not
this?
sure.
Yeah. I think I've heard of this, and there was something about some handbag, and the lady that owns the company, people were telling her that Amazon had the same. It was like a handbag or a computer bag or something like that. That they had the same one there,
Yeah,
just with a different name, and she
yeah.
put a
Yeah,
lawsuit up.
but that was it didn't start with that. It just that it wasn't
Fuel
was
to
an
the
issue.
fire.
Yeah, because they got sued, or she sued and they settled. They got rid
Yeah, that
of
was
Okay.
the
the
kind of a
yeah.
popular thing there. But it says
Wow.
potential antitrust lawsuit looms in the background. Amazon plans to reduce its in-house brands. So according to the Wall Street Journal, the retailer will eliminate 27 of 30 clothing brands and all of its private label furniture lines. It isn't clear how many other areas the cuts could affect, but Amazon Basics brands appear to remain largely, if not wholly, intact. The retailer told the Wall Street Journal it looks to eliminate products that aren't resonating with customers. So again, it's easy to tell the Amazon Basics brand because it's called Amazon Basics, but they have so many other ones here. So they have Lark and Row, Daily Ritual, Good Threads, in addition to kind of the ones that are kind of branded Amazon, right? But they
Hmm.
have so many of these generic kind of brands out there of clothing that people don't even realize it's an Amazon brand. Um, and so it appears that in order for them to try to circumvent some of this
They had to get rid.
FTC antitrust action, they're getting rid of some of these brands, especially the ones that kind of aren't clear that it's Amazon, right? So getting rid of those, trying to get out of that because I, I can't imagine it's a huge moneymaker for them because most of these companies now are kind of ad companies, right? They're they're selling ads, they're selling storage space in the Amazon warehouses for you to ship through Prime. So they've got AWS, so they're making money everywhere else. It's probably not worth it for them to keep this high legal risk activity going when they can just cut it off and move on. But any other thoughts around kind of the Amazon in-house brand debacle?
Yeah, they it said that this all of this was only made up what is like 1%. I forgot. It gave the percentage of what the income was from this and I was like when I read when I read as someone who likes business, I read 27 out of 30 brands. And I was like, 30 brands for one company? That is absolutely absurd. That is like, you're supposed to diversify, but that is. That is completely in the I kind of feel like it's one of those things kind of like what you know, what do you call that? Netflix was doing, where they were just throwing out money left and right to all these studios, trying to get as many. I don't know what they were trying to do, but like that's what it was looking, just trying to find the right one or whatever. Like I feel like that's what they were doing. So I
Yeah.
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
I
But also,
I
think,
think.
I think they were brands, but at the same time, it's mostly just like a marketing label. Real, I
right.
mean,
But the question is
Yeah.
honestly,
why? Why
because
I,
30?
they have
If
so much data around what people buy. So maybe you like something called Good Threads, and they like something called Croft and Row. Sounds more whatever,
hmm
right? It's possible it's the exact same thing,
Yeah, but
but
is it cost like is this costly? Like it sounds like from what the article was saying, it sounds like it wasn't even cost efficient, you know? Like what we were saying, like we were doing the other podcast about Amazon undercutting and stuff like that. It doesn't seem like this was cost efficient. They might have just been trying to put people out of business
yeah.
for no good reason, and this just this doesn't make any sense. I mean, we all know that Amazon is making money hand over fist. Like they're all
Hmm.
constantly in the news for this. So I'm not keen on believing that this was really a huge moneymaker, especially since they were like, oh, this is only like 1% or whatever. 10, I
Yeah.
know it was like less than 10% of what it's far less. Like I'm pretty sure it was 1%. I could bring up the article, but like
Hmm.
I don't see that being 30 different brands. Just doesn't make any sense to me at all. Like from a business perspective, that doesn't make any sense to me because it's not just that, right? So you have these different 30 different brands plus what are the furniture and stuff like that, blah 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 blah, and everything else that Amazon does, like everything else. So just I don't see that as being a wise choice anyway. So it's probably good for them. Like this is one of those things, when companies meet, excuse me, when they meet hard times, they like to downsize. So this is probably one of the things that'll save them from having to downsize when the time comes, because it'll come. Like they're not gonna be on top forever. So
Yeah.
I mean, they, Amazon is a company that strived off making what normal business people would say bad decisions. You know, um, there was a time where no one thought that Amazon would even exist. Next 10 years. Look where we're at now. So like they probably, what I think what is going on was, these little companies here, these are made these this stuff was done by people in the company trying to move up. You know, and they're like, okay, let's make a little business label and make stuff that looks like this stuff to make a different profit, which will make me look good. Now I can move up in the company, and now they're just getting rid of this stuff because, like you
that's
said, none of this really
quite
makes sense.
possible. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Yeah, so I was looking. I saw the article. I found out. I'm sorry. I found what I was talking about in the article. It says Amazon has said private brands account for just 1% of the company's total resales. Just 1%.
Yeah. Now,
You see
1%
that?
for
So
Amazon is still a lot,
Yeah,
right? I mean, it's to them it's a
I
little
mean, to
bit, but
us, it's a lot. Yeah,
right,
I was
yeah,
gonna
it's
say to
that's
us,
a
it's a lot.
right.
To
That's
them,
still a large business,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, but
which is
it's
so crazy.
not in the grand scheme of things from Amazon's point of view, and this is the reason why they're so willing to do it, especially since the FTC is coming at them with a antitrust suit.
of
Like,
course.
this is why it's just so easy, and they're doing this to help prevent this this suit.
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
they knew. I mean, now that they have to look at it, and this is what you should be doing as a company in the first. This is why I keep telling people, y'all need to stop working for these
Don't
big
we all know
companies. They
this?
don't know.
When
No,
we see
people
the
don't know
cops,
this. Like,
when
huh?
we see the cops behind us, we already know we speeding. When we see the cops behind us, we start slowing down. It's the same thing.
No, no. Okay, so I don't speed, so there's
Oh.
that. Well, not
Nate
intentionally
follows
anyway,
Not
all
di-
laws in every
not
country in
not
which he
all laws, but
resides.
you gotta be reasonable. Like, like this, when you're running a company, it's certain that you're going to miss some things because you can't have eyes everywhere. So that's one thing, right? But then it's and this is why this is a problem, because the company is so big. Somebody is not like they had the vice president of brand or whatever. I think that's what his title was, the vice, whatever his name was. Like he should be looking at this. Like he should be like, okay, this might be an issue. Look at which brands are actually more profitable, less profitable, and stuff like that. See maybe if we can consolidate some things and stuff like that. Like that's what a reasonable person does. I mean, like, what are you doing? I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure he's taking flack for this,
Yeah.
to
I
be
mean, it's,
honest.
it's,
Mhm.
it's possible they did. It's possible that they said, hey, look, from a risk management perspective, there is risk that we get investigated by the FTC, and here's how much we anticipate that might cost once they
Hmm.
investigate us. Here's how
Right.
much we might get fined, and
Mhm.
so the risk of that and the cost of that is less than how much we're making doing this. So we'll just do it, right? And we'll do it. And if we get caught, then we pay the fine and we stop.
Yep.
But in the
It
meantime, we
could
made
be.
money, and it's you know
Yeah.
what
Think about
what
it until it happens.
what did we lose, right? Like we did it until we couldn't do it anymore. We made the
Right.
money,
Hmm.
and we paid the fine. And now we're done. All right, cool, fine. Like it's strictly business, strictly risk
Yeah.
management, right? the risk is low enough that it's
But
worth
is it
doing.
though?
That the
Um,
greed
That's the question. Like,
is better.
is it low enough? I mean, that is the coming under the assumption that the FTC still, that after doing this, the FTC will be like, okay, well, you know, maybe we um maybe you cannot be found for, you know, being a trust, right? So like maybe that's the assumption.
yeah,
They're assuming that they can get out of that.
remains to be
um
seen.
what
Hmm.
Yeah, so what happens
Yeah,
if the FTC decides, if the lawsuit really, it still goes forward, and then they find themselves having to divest far more than they thought that they would, then at that point, I guess it is a risk. I
yeah,
guess you're right, they're
yeah.
making enough money to not
Right.
really care.
Yeah, I mean, some
But
things, you look at, hey, look, it's 5% chance of this happening,
hmm
and then 5% chance happens. What are you supposed to do, right? Like
right.
at a
Yeah,
point,
and I'm sure they
it
got
was
money,
unlikely, then it happened. So, all right, well, these
and
are
I'm
the
sure
breaks.
they got money put away for a lawsuit, here and
Yeah,
there
but
when
and
it
this
comes
is
up.
also
So,
this is weird. I mean, sorry, this is just a very frustrating situation because okay, yeah, fine, they're bad business. They're doing bad
hmm,
business, right? And they're playing, they're playing
that
Monopoly.
risk game.
They're
Yeah,
playing Risk, and or whatever. But then on the flip side of that, their employees are going to be the ones suffering because if
right.
something goes down, they, like I said, they're going to have layoffs. They're going to get, start downsizing and stuff like that. So when they could have been kind of investing in their employees and stuff like that, they decided that they're just going to play this risky game. No, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Like that is a very greedy and very stupid way uh, of
Getting to the top.
doing business. No, yeah, just doing business in general. So, anyways, keep going because you know what, I don't.
Nate's on a soapbox, and we're gonna get him off as we
Yeah,
head
Yep.
exactly. Get me
into
off. Let's do something. Let's
the
talk about
last
something
article for
else.
this week. Is on to Disney and Hulu. So Disney is raising prices again on its Disney Plus and Hulu plans, as they are also expanding the ad supported piece to more areas. So this here is an article from Hollywood Reporter that I've got up here. Um, so one, we see Disney's expanding its advertising supported Disney Plus tier to new countries, while also hiking the price of its ad free tiers, as it tries to bring the overall business into more profitability. So for starters, it's going to expand the ad supported Disney Plus tier to Canada, US, and France. Oh, there you go, Nate. Germany,
Yeah,
Hmm.
Sweden, Italy, and other countries in Europe on
but
the
I think it's
first.
already here.
Um, the new plans are going to start at, looks like, £5, um, and 7.99 Canadian, for those people. Um,
Oh no, ad
it's
supported.
very
Sorry.
interesting that there really are Netflix. A lot of these companies are really growing these ad supported tiers,
Hmm.
um, because again, they still get some money, but also get to sell ads against it. So this sounds so familiar. It's because that's the way TV has been
That's
for,
how.
I don't
Yeah,
know, the
Yeah,
beginning.
forever. It's just
and
TV and
existed.
radio.
I
Yeah,
mean everybody
Um,
wants ads.
what's
So,
old what's old is new again, right?
yeah.
Um, but Bob Iger said that the ad supported tier now has 3.3 million subscribers already.
Of
So
course, yeah.
going pretty good. And at that
yeah.
monthly clip plus ads revenue, it's not too bad. So at the same time, again, they're now raising the price of the ad supported stuff. So the ad free tier, Disney Plus, will go from $10.99 per month to $13.99 per month, with the annual plan rising accordingly. Hulu's ad free tier is going from $14.99 to $17.99. In connection with the price hike, Disney's also launching a new premium bundle of ad-free Disney Plus and Hulu for $19.99 a month. But I need to go back and look because they raised their prices last fall already. And at that time, I switched what I was doing to try to lock it in. So if you switched before they announced the change, it was a little bit cheaper. So I
Mm-hmm.
bundled together the ESPN Plus and the Hulu with Disney Plus. And I forget how much. I think I'm
Hmm.
paying around 20, I think, for all three of those. Um, and so that bundle already cost more than that once they switched the price like last fall. So now they're changing it again. So I need to go back and look and see if I'll be grandfathered in with my current pricing
Right.
or if I'll need to have something change with that. So also the raising price of ESPN Plus. So again, that by itself was $9.99. That's only going up by $1. but I suspect they don't have as many subscriptions to that as they do as with the Disney Plus and the
Yeah,
Hulu. So,
Disney's doing a
um,
lot of stuff right now. They're
yeah,
like they're trying to. I guess they're talking about selling ABC and ESPN maybe. You know.
yeah. I've
Uh,
been seeing articles and kind of rumor mill about as far as
yeah,
them trying to sell off some assets.
yeah,
We'll see.
yep.
We'll
That's where
see.
I'm at too. We'll see.
But also I saw, I'm not sure if this article or a different one, that they're looking to have, oh yeah, here it is. Um, Disney will be combining Hulu and Disney Plus into a single app later this year. So that if you subscribe to both, you can access them in one app versus having to go to the two of them, which I think makes a lot of sense. Because I mean,
It
they
doesn't make
use
any
a lot of
sense
the
to me.
technology from Hulu anyway to build Disney Plus. That's
Yeah.
part of their feature set there. So interesting to see where that goes. So any thoughts on, I guess, the latest price hikes from Disney?
My goodness. Don't get me
Hey,
started on these people.
they gotta pay these actors. That's why they're trying to get these ads. Everybody's doing these ads because they realize that having individual people paying monthly, it's not paying enough. They're not making enough money where they feel comfortable to pay the actors.
Yeah. Well, I think part of the problem is, and I was listening to Adam Conover talk
Huh.
about how, we always had, well, not always, but for a long time we already had three different models for television, right? We had the regular network TV, which was free
Hmm.
but had ads. Then we had cable TV, which you paid for but still had ads. Then you had premium cable, which you paid additionally for but did not have ads. And we had all three of those things. And then Netflix tried to essentially make it only one of those things where you pay and have no ads.
Hmm.
And turns out everything can't be
Right.
pay and no ads. Seemingly, we haven't figured out yet how to do it. And it seems to be kind of going back to kind of those three tiers again, where some stuff is free, like Freebie and Pluto and all this stuff, where you just turn it on, it's free, you just have a bunch of ads. Some stuff costs a little bit more,
Hmm.
still has ads, like ad supported, Hulu, Disney Plus, Netflix. And then there's stuff that's going to have no ads, but you pay a premium price for. But we'll see if they figure out some different model later on. But it seems like what's old is new again in this scenario for sure.
Just
Well,
online.
it just doesn't make any sense to me. Like I was harping about in the other one, when we did our streaming wars. Actually, I was like, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like maybe I'm super judgmental or whatever. I am,
No,
but but
never
like
that.
as I said in that episode, like it doesn't take a lot of, it just takes a few seconds to sitting down and thinking about these models, where you would realize, okay, this is only going to make us so much money. Like there's no increase. Like for example, Netflix doesn't charge you, and I am not trying to give them ideas, but they don't charge you like video on demand, right? Where you would make supplemental you would make supplemental money. I mean, so everything is free except maybe this, like kind of Amazon, right? There's some things that are on Prime, but then there's other things other movies or whatever that aren't on Prime that you can buy or that you can rent. And Netflix doesn't do that. I don't understand how it is that they assumed that this I don't know, this business plan of theirs was going to be I don't know, was going to continue to, I think if you just look at it, you just realize, okay, it's going to be stagnant unless you're trying to get all of the subscribers all in the world. But that doesn't make any sense, first of all. And second of all, there's always going to be kind of this like limitation, you know? So it just didn't make any sense. So then they brought in the ads, but I was against the ads at first because I didn't realize that it was actually going to be just an ad tier. I thought they were just bringing in the ads, right? Because
Hmm.
everyone knows, um, marketing pays. That is one of the biggest budgets for a lot of for most companies is the marketing, right? Because you have to
Hmm.
get your name out there. So, but then when I realized, oh, okay, it's actually going to be its own tier, so you can whatever. I was like, okay, well then that makes sense. Okay, that's cool. But when you're talking about cable, like obviously the TV companies were getting paid through their ads, right? It was worse in the U.S. and France, but France has picked it up. They do ads 5 minutes during the TV show as well. Now it's very annoying. So I don't watch TV anymore in France. Um, but cable was, yeah, they had ads. But in premium they also had video on demand where you could pay for these things, right? So it wasn't still it's still none of it was ever simply purely subscription, right? They always had some way, something that you could buy, that you could pay for additionally, that would kind of supplement their income like that. That just, I don't know, but it just doesn't, that make sense? Or am I, is it
Well,
just me? Like,
here's the
because
thing.
you all were, your
Like,
y'all's defense was, oh, it's the first database or whatever for videos, and I just was saying, yeah, but that's it, sort of thing. So sorry, go ahead, Tim.
well, okay, yeah, I like, yeah. Before I was saying, and I still agree with it. They were the first, so they didn't have any competition. That changed, but now here's the thing. Like, you got to look at, as a company, like, you want to make changes to benefit your company, right? But you don't want to make changes that's going to lose your subscribers. I mean, this is the internet. All they got to do is, just change it, and they're done, and they're out. You know, next
No,
month
but what
you
they
have
did
no, you have
was,
nobody.
like Chris was saying about the, these tier, or sorry, this this ad tiers. What they did was Indian smart, because they allowed,
But that's the
they
thing.
got, not only did they get new subscribers, apparently, according to Adam, because I was watching the video that you sent, Chris,
Hmm.
with the guy from Adam Ruins Everything or whatever, um, that the ad tier did bring in like what, 3 million or something new
Hmm.
subscribers or something like that, but that's not the only money that
So
they made. So they got new subscribers plus they're getting
the
paid
ad
for the
tier,
ads,
Hmm.
you
okay,
know.
the ad tier I agree with. That's not my issue. It's like when they. So here's the thing. Like, okay,
But
for
what I'm saying
online
is another
subscriptions,
option, and that's
yeah,
what you
I don't
said,
want
all
them
the,
to start adding like little things in to make little bits of extra money. Like the ad tier, I get that. You know, you got people who don't want to pay as much, and who don't want to pay as much, and they don't mind the ads. Fine.
right. Hmm.
That Let them have the ad tier. That's fine. That's a good
Right.
thing. But adding these little things where, like you said, like when Amazon, like, they have these videos that you have to rent on their service.
Yeah.
I you know I said last time, I said, I think Netflix should do that, but then I thought about it, and I was like, that would be annoying. You're going through the list, you're paying the top tiers, and you're going through the list, and all you see is rent, 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 all the stuff you want to watch. That'd be annoying. I would I would turn it
Yeah, I
off.
think it's annoying because because Netflix has become known
Right.
as not that type of service, right? Whereas Prime, most people aren't even paying for Prime, right? They're paying
Yes.
for Prime because they have Amazon Prime, not because the videos, typically, right? It's just an add-on thing, so they expect that. Also, they have a store already there for on-demand videos that they can buy. So it's a bonus to have something that I'm not paying additionally for with
Yeah.
the subscription versus Netflix, where I'm paying for this thing. They aren't used to paying for this thing, and also, oh, I can pay more and have this other thing in here. Now, I think they might still get there, but as far as the model they had in the beginning, I think it was at the time a perfectly fine business model. I
Yeah.
think part of the issue was everyone thinking they could all do the Netflix way, um,
Caused it.
and not trying to really do their own thing, and kind of caused the whole thing to implode. Like, imagine everyone wanted to make a premium cell phone, right? Like, you that doesn't work, right? Like, some people are premium, some people are mid range, there's low range, there's different ways of doing this thing. Everyone can't be in the same lane, right?
Yeah.
Because then the lane doesn't exist anymore, right? If everyone should make a premium cell phone for $1,000, the whole thing collapses because not everyone's worth $1,000, right?
Yeah.
And so now all of a sudden people are going to start scrambling because no one's buying their phone for $1,000 because they're trying to be a premium cell phone brand. Well,
Basically,
we,
money
we can't we
only.
can't have a thousand premium cell phone brands, right?
Yeah,
We
money
also
only
can't have
comes
a
in.
thousand Netflixes.
I feel
Right.
like, I don't know. That's beside my point. My point isn't, what they decided that they were going to be a, a streaming service, and that's wrong. That's not my point. My point is, there's only, you can't be so naive as to think that there's only You're going to get all of the subscribers ever. You're not going to have any competition, um, and then you're not going to have any other way to kind of supplement your income, you know. So like if you're looking at your model, if you're looking at your business model, and you know all these people are just binge watching everything or whatever, um the thought that would come to my mind, which is what it did, was what's going to keep people continuously subscribed to my um what I'm offering them, you know. That's what you ask anytime you have a subscription model, is what's going to keep these people coming back. If I don't provide them with something new at a certain time or whatever, is that going to prevent them from coming back and stuff? And those are the questions that you've got to ask yourself. And then also, if you do have research projects that you want to invest in or whatever, how are you going to be able to fund that? Now, I did say before I gave that example of renting, I did not want to give that idea to Netflix, because I do not want that for Netflix at all, point blank. Like, I don't want it. But I'm just saying that all of these other companies did something like that so that they would have, because I guess they were maybe smart enough to realize we're not going to have all of the subscribers, so we're doing something else to kind of like supplement. I say supplement, but obviously I don't know what their business plan actually is, so maybe this is just the way it is. But I'm saying from an outside perspective, this is kind of what I would look at, is it's kind of something else that they're doing to kind of you know, help them get money. And it also, I think the VOD kind of helps people stay subscribed, because you never know when you're just going to want to watch a movie that you actually have to rent or purchase or something like that, you know. So again, not trying to give Netflix this idea, maybe they can come up with something else, but you know, I don't know. I feel like it was just a lack of vision. That's what I feel about it. So anyways, we really got off the point with Disney, because I mean, I don't know, do we want Disney to remain a streaming service? Because right now it's Disney, Amazon, apparently, from this article that I read, and and Netflix. Those are the three main players apparently.
Yeah, and Apple's trying to catch up.
Yeah, we'll see if Max implodes. But I'm curious with you guys. Do you
Max.
see yourself potentially moving towards more of this ad supported stuff as it comes out, or even consuming more stuff on some of these free services?
I don't consume anything on free services.
Because they're
I
annoying.
really, really, really hate ads.
Yes.
So I hate YouTube that has ads, but I refuse to get their premium service because there's nothing on
My
YouTube
thing,
for
my thing
me.
with the ad
Yeah.
supported stuff right now, I hate it. I it's
Do you
not that
have it?
it, well, like on the free services and stuff, you're
Okay. Yeah.
watching something and like, you watch an ad and then the show comes back on and they say like a paragraph and then it goes to another three ads,
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and then the
Yep.
ads, like, okay, sometimes I'm watching stuff that's not on the kid stuff, but it's like PG 13, so I'm watching with my kids, but the ads be like, this is
R
ridiculous.
rated.
Yeah, this is ridiculous. Like, like this is not what my kids need to watch.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I hate the ads. It's like they
Yeah.
should have like, they should have like, like when you go into the show, who are you watching the show with? You know,
Right.
you,
Yeah. Exactly.
Well,
Yeah.
family.
hey,
If it's
just
family, then they show family
add a
ads.
camera to your television, and then
Right.
they can know who's
They
watching.
Oh
And
God.
I
No.
mean, this is coming. There's already a company that's selling free TVs that are ad supported. They
yeah.
give you a free television. It just has a little thing at the bottom that shows ads and stuff. And so, if people like to sell their eyeballs and their information for free, I mean, it's funny you mentioned YouTube, because we watched a lot of YouTube here, and also I started realizing, man, we're watching a lot of ads on
Oh,
YouTube. Like, I really
Right.
feel
definitely.
like it's probably
Definitely.
worth it to pay to not spend any more time, because again, right, what I'm buying back is my time.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
how much is my time worth with these ads?
Right.
Hmm.
We'll see. But I think we're supposed to leave it out there, guys. Good conversations.
Yep.
A little longer than I thought we would be, but that's okay. It's our first time running through it.
Yeah.
Right.
We got 5 whole articles. Maybe we'll have 2 next time.
Because
Or
we're
1.
opinionated, so.
Right? It'll be the tech news article rundown from the week. We'll pick
Right.
one and talk about it for an hour. But
Right.
hey, it's been fun. Thanks for watching, people. If you like this, give us a comment. Let us know you want more of these tech news rundowns, and we'll keep them coming for you. So as always, I've been Christian with Nate and Tim, and we'll catch y'all next time.
Ciao.